everyone, and welcome to the new... Come on. Hello everyone, I am back from the holidays, and now we can... Hello everyone. Hello everyone, I am back from vacation. I've been trying to make an intro now, and I can't. I don't know why. I think it's been too long. I just can't. So without hesitating any further, let's just talk about the topic of this video. So as you can see, we are now in the third installment, or third season, I guess, of the Wheel of Destiny. In case you're unfamiliar with the series on this channel, it's basically me asking you to suggest me characters on Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube, and then I put your suggestions on a spinning wheel, and the one that is being chosen is the one I draw for the video. It's basically a three-part series because first I ask on Tumblr and I put things on the spinning wheel, then I ask Twitter, and then I ask YouTube, so I have 3 videos I can work on. Now, usually how it works is that I get, somewhere around like 5 suggestions and then I put them on a spinning wheel, but this time, I didn't really need the spinning wheel because I only got 1 suggestion after I asked about it on Tumblr, which, I kind of had to expect at this point. I don't really get suggestions very often anyway, but still I got a little bit upset, I guess, because I really like spinning wheels and I couldn't use the spinning wheel. God damn it. Like, what's the point of calling it the Wheel of Destiny if the wheel is not even being used? But what can we do about it? Anyway, so the only suggestion I got was for a character from The Cat Returns. It's one of those movies made by Ghibli Studios. Giving it a very basic summary, it's about a girl named Haru who one day saves a cat from being hit by a truck, and it turns out later that this cat was the prince of the cat kingdom, and the kingdom wants to show gratitude towards this girl for saving the prince by giving her a bunch of catnip, by giving her rats or mice, I guess, as a present in the middle of the school. The cats are always around her, even though it turns out apparently that she's allergic. I think it was once said that she was allergic, which doesn't really come up in the movie at all afterwards, so I'm not sure if this is maybe a mistranslation from the dub. I watched it in dub, by the way, so I don't know if I maybe missed something. And in the middle of her complaining about those presents to one of the cat servants, the servant then mentions that the king wants her to marry his prince, and while she was just kind of somewhat considering it but still denying it or refusing it, in the end the servant didn't really listen to the last part, and so he goes to the kingdom and announces that Haru was ready to get married. The girl finds herself confused and realizes that she did a big mistake, and then a voice tells her to go to the cat bureau. She finds the cat bureau and finds probably one of the only animal characters I would ever consider handsome. Like, oh my god, what the hell? I swear, I'm not a furry. And so in this cat bureau, the Baron, the cat you're gonna see me pop up in the video because I don't bother describing it any further, promises her that he would look out for her. But the cat servants somehow find her anyway, and so they bring her to the cat kingdom. It's kind of difficult to summarize this movie because I feel like a lot of things you should just watch, not because there are plot twists or something, but it's just a really fun movie to watch, especially if you're like really young. You would really like this movie. Honestly, I had not seen this movie for a very long time. I had just randomly found it once on the kids TV that we had in Switzerland, like Super RTL, and I'm pretty sure it was only broadcasted like once because I've never seen it ever again. It was always Spirited Away or Totoro or something, and this movie just showed up once, and I never actually caught the name of the movie. And you also have to understand that it was German. It probably had a different name in German, and back then I just did not pay attention to titles for some reason because I just did not know the name of that movie. I just knew I absolutely loved it when I watched it that one time. So it was only like, I think a few months ago when Emirichu made that childhood crush video where she mentioned the Baron, where I recognized recognized, the Baron, and it was like, oh, that's what the movie was called. Yeah, okay, that name makes sense. Although, what cat returns? Because if you really think about it, the only cat who really returns to anything was Buta, and I'm pretty sure the main protagonist wasn't Buta. So, what does that title refer to? I don't know. So when it was suggested on Tumblr, I honestly got a bit scared because, crap, I actually haven't seen this movie in a while. Maybe I should watch it again just to be sure of things. And so yesterday or so, I rewatched the entire movie, and honestly, I had like so much fun watching it. Like, I'm sure I would have enjoyed it if I had just rewatched it as a kid again, because now a lot of scenes felt kind of a bit cliche, I guess, or a little bit cheesy, but I still just had so much fun. It was so innocent. No one died. Everyone made jokes. It had a nice message in believing in yourself. There are cats. There are cats every single corner in this movie, and it's absolutely great. It's just awesome. Like a full movie of cats. Best movie ever. 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved all the characters. I loved Buta's character so much, how he's like so grumpy but still kind of helpful in some way. I love the Baron, how freaking cool he is, and I swear to God, I'm not a furry. But holy damn, this is one badass kitty. The only character I kind of had a problem with was Haru. As I've mentioned before, whenever a main character isn't really great to me, I kind of have a harder time to like the movie. And while I am not going to take my word back that the movie was great, I still had the feeling that they should have toned down Haru's indecisiveness. Because there is a difference between being indecisive and then just being a dumbass. Like the first misunderstanding, I could kind of get. Haru was kind of reminiscing of how it is to be a cat. I mean, every one of us has thought about how it would be like to be a cat. I think every one of us has looked at their cat or some cat in the street and thinks, man, I just want to sleep and eat all day as well without being judged. And then instantly she regrets it, obviously, because, bestiality and all. But then later when they're in the cat kingdom, she reminisces about it again and wants to maybe stay, or feels like everything is so perfect and then completely forgets about that she's being married to a fucking cat. And she goes just into the castle without really asking anything, like, oh, it would be rude if we didn't get into the castle at least once to say hi. You are being kidnapped, Haru, what the hell? She wasn't even in the castle and she already had Stockholm Syndrome for some fucking reason. God damn it. In general, it's a really fun movie, and I'm glad I got to see it again, because it's just a really nice movie to watch. If I ever had children, which I highly doubt, I would definitely show them that movie and not, Spirited Away. Spirited Away is a good movie, but The Cat Returns, at least, is not nightmare fuel, okay? The only disturbing scene in that whole movie is how a friend supposedly drowns and it's still being presented comedically and he doesn't even die. So I'd rather have that than those disturbing images that is Spirited Away. Like, Jesus Christ, don't show that to children. Also, apparently, 30 minutes of the original movie were cut out for international broadcast, so I don't honestly want to know what they had to cut out. Like, Jesus. Anyway, so I've been talking about Haru and the Baron and the Cat Kingdom, but who's the character I'm drawing? Well, that character is the cat that Haru saves at the very beginning. He shows up later in the movie, somewhere right at the end, where he comes with this box full of cat food or something. Well, not exactly cat food, it's kind of like fish cookies, which aren't only for cats, but kind of like a general snack for humans, I guess. Not really sure about it. And his costume looks nice. I like his, how's it called? Heterochromatic eyes? I think that's how you call it. It's really interesting and it kind of goes well with the colors. And he's cute. Have I mentioned that I'm not a furry yet? I was actually kind of surprised that this character would be suggested from The Cat Returns. Not because he was necessarily a bad character, but I just didn't feel like he stuck out too much. Maybe because he wasn't really much in the movie in the first place. He was like somewhere in the beginning and then somewhere in the end. But you know, his design is kind of cool. However, now we come to when I had to draw him, and I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but I don't draw animals a lot, especially cats. I have practiced drawing cats before, but never intensely enough that I would be comfortable or confident enough to make an entire illustration of an animal. So when I realized I had to draw a cat, I had a bit of anxiety going into it, not gonna lie. At first I thought I could maybe put him in a cool pose or something from a lower angle, even though I'm terrible at lower angles. I didn't even know why I thought this was going to be a good idea in the first place, but you know, you gotta try it out anyway. But even without that angle issue, I saw a different issue. I had absolutely no clue what the hell the illustration was going to be about. Like, there was almost nothing I could really get from the character that I could like exploit basically to make an entire illustration. So I tried to kind of like analyze every single thing I know about this character. Okay, what is the big thing about him? Bows. Okay, technically seen, I only drew like that one bow of that one white cat. I don't remember what she was called. Yuka? Something like that? Yuna? I don't know. Maybe... I thought I could maybe make a reference to her by having the bow behind him and, you know, holding the present of fish cookies. And in the background, I was just... My brain just kind of shut down for a second, had to kind of reboot and try to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to put in the background. So I kind of decided in the end that I would like make these stripes from that one racket to kind of give notch to like the racket that Haru used to save Loon from the truck. And I'm not even sure what kind of racket it was. I'm not even sure if racket is the right word. I'm just gonna call it like that, but it's kind of like this weird thing. I'm gonna show it on the screen. You can maybe help me in that, what it's called in the comments, but right now I'm just gonna call it the cross racket because I think that's what the movie called it. I'm not entirely sure. And you're not gonna see me do this in the recording, but I think like 5 minutes before I started recording this, realized that, oh wait, the inner stripes of the racket are actually red. So I changed the color of that. So in the final illustration, you're gonna see them red and not beige. And then the flannel like back, I just didn't know what to do anymore. I just did something. I honestly don't know what I was doing. For Loon himself, I just used the movie screenshot as a reference for how he looks like, because I know for a fact that if I just looked up a bunch of cat references and tried to make a cat in my style, I was just gonna lose a lot of time, and oh boy did I lose a lot of time trying to do that before. So I just kind of gave up on that and just used solely the movie screenshot as a reference. I tried to do a few things different on purpose and not be completely accurate, just to have like my own style in it somehow, but I wouldn't call it a huge success. I mean, he looks like a cat despite the whiskers not being equally long to another. Like, I'm just noticing that while looking at the image, and it's triggering my OCD right now. I tried my best not to use copy-paste too often, but it'd be a lie if I said that I completely abandoned it as well. There was a lot of symmetry that I tried to do, but somewhere in the arms I tried to like do it from the sketch instead of just copy-paste everything, but yeah, that image was just copy-paste constantly. I wish I hadn't done that, but at the same time, the front view kind of has to be symmetrical, so it's kind of difficult to do that freehand, and I don't know, I didn't want to flip all the time just to see if the eye is in the correct height. While I was drawing, I kind of started to see why someone would want me to draw Loon, because there are a lot of elements on his design that are actually really interesting. Like, again, his heterochromatic eyes, his flower thing in the middle of it, like that green thing. I don't know what it's called. I think it's clay. And then there's also that blue stripe across. Like, I know this is kind of like something you see in uniforms anyway, from royalty or something, but I still kind of like the contrast to it, to everything that is like red and yellow, gold, and then there's just this nice blue stripe. It really looks nice. I like that. He definitely has a really nice costume for a kitty. Now I'm imagining my cat with that costume. Oh god, he would hate me for that. Okay, so now I am assuming that we're somewhere around the end of the video, and you're gonna see me use this lasso tool, but there are like different ways you can use the lasso tool. Like you can do it either square, you can do it freehand, or you can do it from point to point, like the zigzag. I don't know. If you use Clip Studio Paint, you know what I'm talking about, but you're gonna see me use mostly the zigzag thing or the square thing because there was a point in the illustration while I was doing the speed paint, or while drawing, my pen just stopped working, like in the middle of it. While I was kind of mostly done anyway, it just kind of frustrated me because there were like these teeny tiny things I still wanted to like correct, and it was just why? I was really scared the next morning, well, today, that the pen wasn't going to work, and so I wasn't able to like correct anymore, but luckily it worked well, and I decided to also put some new details into it, which I'm gonna show in just a minute. So like the color change is not in the speed paint, and a few corrections around the line art and the shading is also not shown. And here's the thing, I don't usually draw highlights. I usually don't really draw that unless it's really important for like a scene for dramatic effect, because to me personally, when there's like rim lighting or like a lot of shiny thing on it, it just feels a bit glossy, I guess, a bit too shiny, a bit too plastic like, and so I don't really like putting them on too much, and sometimes I don't feel like it really works with my style too much. But you know, I don't know why, but I kind of looked at the illustration and I thought, you know what, why don't we try it? And you know, I'd like to say that it's not too bad, but I feel like you can tell why I don't like doing it, because I don't know how to do that. I am not necessarily the best at lighting. I know where to put the shading, but I feel like the reason why I don't like putting these lights is because I'm not really all that good at it. But you know, it still gives it a bit more flair. It makes it seem a little bit more professional, I guess, a bit more dimension. I don't know, I just thought it might be interesting to try it out. I might not do it constantly from now on, but maybe once in a while we'll experiment with it, and who knows, maybe I'll properly learn how to implement it into my style. Who knows? Anyway, so that's it with the speed paint. I hope you liked the piece, and now I'm going to ask you guys to go on Twitter and to suggest characters there. The only rule there is that individually you are not allowed to suggest multiple characters from like the same series. Like you can't ask me to do Alphonse Elric and Winry Rockbell in that list. Like collectively you can all suggest whoever you want, but like in a one post you cannot suggest from the same series. And then the second rule is that you cannot suggest more than 5. Fortunately, it's only 5 that I need, so if you have like 5 characters you want me to draw, I'd be settled already. You can start doing that on YouTube as well if you want, but I'm not really gonna consider them for the Twitter version of it, so just be mindful of that. Anyway, so I hope you're having a good day. Like and subscribe, and well, see you next time.